Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Here comes someone who has family in Gaza expressing their frustration of what is taking place there. He says, my family's area in Gaza has been ordered to evacuate, likely ahead of its destruction, just like so of many others before it. And it's hard to read this message. What is happening to our brothers and sisters in Palestine right before our eyes, this is tathhirun irqi, a genocide. Perhaps some of us, we never thought we would live to see or hear of a genocide occurring in our time. And it is occurring upon our brothers and sisters in Palestine. They were told to move toward the sea, but if you look at the map and the pattern of displacement to other areas as well, it is clear that the people are being pushed into a corner toward the sea for the plan of permanent expulsion from Gaza. All of this is happening under constant bombardment with no food or aid allowed in. People now literally are homeless with no food. Gaza needs our strongest du'as now more than ever. And there are some we've seen of Palestinians getting so frustrated, they are now expressing some of their frustration towards Hamas. And we've seen some people come out calling them certain names, that they are betraying the resistant and the cause of Tahrir al-Quds, liberating Masjid al-Aqsa, and that they are working for the IDF, so on and so forth, of certain names that we've seen that were given and labeled to people. That some of them, you can see them in the videos, have lost perhaps a bodily limb, a leg or an arm in the crossfire of that war in Gaza. Yet he's being called for displaying their frustration, him and his family, the women folk, people that are either doing an inside job for the IDF. So these type of wordings, we want to really look at the frustration of these people in Palestine, and if it's justified to give them these titles that they're working for the IDF. With no shadow of doubt, the IDF is deserving the main blame for what is taking place. And what they're doing is unjustifiable. And that bombardment, that starvation to women and children that have no sin or crime they have committed. These people have nothing to do with Hamas. They're just living their day-to-day life, seeking their livelihood, trying to feed their children. They haven't committed anything to deserve this type of treatment. So we're going to play some examples. There are so many. More and more clips are coming out of Palestinians living there, displaying their frustration, overwhelmed of the situation, of women and children, of men that have been injured, some of them have lost some of their family members in this war. So let's hear this frustration and see if it is true that these people now that they are rebelling against the government there. We're going to address this of what does Hamas say about these people, and then we're going to see if these labels that has been addressed about the people that are perhaps some of them in the front line who are suffering, they are the people that are mainly targeted. As we know, Hamas is under the ground. The people that are greatly suffering are these individuals. So let's play some of the examples of these words of these people.
رسالتي سريعا الى قياده حركه حماس، ارحمونا واطلعوا من قطاع غزه، بكفي. واللي بده يقول عني جاسوس يقول عني جاسوس، بكفي ويلات وجع، بكفي يا عمي. مش غلط، ابو عمار عملها وطلع وريح شعبه. لوين بدكم تودونا من الجنون تبعكم؟ بكفي. رسالتي سريعا.
So this individual, he says a message I'm giving to the leaders of Hamas, the generals, the commanders, that it's upon you all to just leave Gaza and have mercy on us. It is enough. And he says, the one who's going to call me a jasus, let him call me jasus. And meaning a spy. Because usually anyone that talks out against Hamas usually labels them as jasus or working for the IDF. So this person is speaking. Give another example, another person over there. And this is a lady, you can see in the video, in the midst of the remnants of her property and her family being bombarded and destroyed, her suffering, crying out, saying that we haven't done anything, we're not guilty of October 7th, these people do not represent us, we now have no families, no homes. These are cries of frustration. And to label every one of these people, to say that they're working for the IDF, or they don't have the right to speak, this is not befitting. So they say, as they're there in front of many, that the first blame is the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and secondly, Hamas. She used the word H4mas Muslimin because they pledged allegiance to H4mas Muslimin. We want to clarify that Hamas spokesperson, official spokesperson, Musa Abu Marzouk, when he was asked about the people of Gaza, this was his response.
يتساءل وهذا سؤال رائج وشائع، يعني من قام بتشييد 500 كيلومتر من الأنفاق لماذا لم يشيد مآوي يلجأ إليها المدنيون خلال القتل؟
So he said some of the people ask, if you all have 500 kilometers of length of bunkers underground to protect from bombs, why haven't you built bomb shelters and protections for the civilians that they can hide in? And because even Yahya Sinwar, an audio on YouTube, he says we have anfaq, underground tunnels, that tazid ala 500 kilo, that goes beyond 500 kilometers. And this is a distance that they're asking, if you built all this, why haven't you considered also the people?
المدنيون خلال القصف.
نحن شيدنا الأنفاق لأنه لا نملك ما ندفع به عن أنفسنا من القتل والاستهداف. هذه الأنفاق من أجل أن نحمي أنفسنا من الطائرات. نحن مقاتلين من الأنفاق.
So he starts off, the official spokesperson for Hamas, saying that we've built these tunnels to protect ourselves from being killed or targeted. We have nothing to protect ourselves from the airplanes. And we are fighting within these tunnels.
أما القطاع غزة فأنت تعلم والجميع يعلم بأنه 75% منه لاجئين، واللاجئين هو مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة في حمايتهم، مسؤولية الاحتلال في أن يقدم كل تبعا لاتفاقية جنيف الدولية أن يقدم لهم كل الخدمات وهم تحت الاحتلال.
So he says, as for the Gaza Strip, you know that 75% are refugees. And if they're refugees, then they are the UN's responsibility. And they are also the occupation's responsibility as well, fulfilling the convention of the rule that they signed on. And so they have to provide all the services for them. And this is the words of official spokesperson Hamas. And this is the reason why they are not more so as a government, but they're more as a resistant group.
الرسول كان على راس السرية يكون مش تحت الأرض بجري بخبي أولاده ومرته وأولاد الناس بتروح في داهية ودور الناس رايحة.
And this is another woman saying that the Prophet ﷺ was on top of the ground. He wouldn't leave the women and children like this. The people are fighting under the ground and they're leaving the women and children on top. This is another sign of frustration. Here another individual says, Allah is sufficient for us against you, O Hamas, O Sinwar. And he mentions the leaders of Hamas. So this is another individual displaying his frustration.
حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل فيهم اللهم بينهم نحن قصناهم يوم القيامة واعطينا عنهم والله وتعالى قيادة مسجدنا لا تمثلنا.
Here another individual crying as he's lost family members, children, blood all over his face. He's saying, these people do not represent us. May Allah curse you all. You leaders of Hamas, and he's going into depth, saying that Allah is sufficient for us on the day of judgment against you all. Allah will judge between us and you.
حياتنا كلها اتدمرت رجعتونا 500 سنة لورا احنا قاعدين بنموت الحماس بتطخ على الناس الجعانة اللي مش لاقية تاكل فطورها مش حرام عليهم خلطونا حرب احنا ما بدنا اياها.
And these two individuals are displaying, he said, my family, my children are gone. He said, haram upon you, O Hamas. He's saying, oh Sinwar, you're the one that is killing your people.
مناسب العالم كله مناسب كل طبيب حي يشوف يتفرج عرفتونا من حماس قبل اليهود
This is a person from the Nazihin. See in the video, he's moving from one place to another. The IDF keeps shifting them. See, they're told to go to this area, they're being displaced. And he's in this scenario saying, save us from Hamas. Save us from Hamas. So this is another person feeling they have been let down by these individuals, and that these people have increased the suffering of Palestinians through their actions.
يا عم حد يفهم الناس اللي عندنا مسائلنا إنه الخسارة في بعض الأحيان بتبقى مربح وإنه الانتصار الحقيقي ما تخلي شعبك يعاني.
So here's another individual in Gaza. He's saying, who's going to explain to our people that intisar, saying we've won or we became victorious against the IDF, that's what Hamas was saying. When that pause happened, the recent pause, they were going online saying, intasarna. So he's saying, victory is not to let your people suffer, leave them to suffer. That's not victory.
الناس العربية ذبحونا بدنا السنوار يطلع لنا أبو إبراهيم سابنا ذبحنا في غزة ليش؟
إسرائيل مجرمة والسنوار قدم لإسرائيل خدمة أقسم برب العزة الخدمة اللي قدمتها حماس لإسرائيل ما قدمها بشر في الكون ولا قدمتها دولة في الكون ولا قدمها خائن في الكون.
So this lady says that the IDF are criminals of the war crimes they've committed, and also Hamas, Sinwar have provided a service for the IDF that no one else has provided. They've done a favor for them, and meaning using there have been an opening. She's referring to for these people to continue to use these people as an excuse. Here's a clip of a scholar who Hamas and that group of people they look up to. It's an old statement of his. I believe he changed his words when entering Qatar. But when he was in Egypt, these were his words about Hamas. We'll play it for you. It is by Sheikh Abu Ishaq al-Huwaini, the one who recently passed away. These are his words previously about Hamas.
اوعى يكون حد فيكم مفكر ان اسرائيل وهي داخله غزه تريد ان تقضي على حماس، لا. لابد ان تظل حماس واسرائيل هي اللي تحافظ على حماس.
So he says, do you think that Israel wants to eliminate Hamas in reality completely? He says, no, they actually want them to remain. And they're gonna safeguard them.
ممكن يقتلوا ويبددوا الكلام ده، لكن إذا حصل نوع من الصلح المجتمع الإسرائيلي اليهودي هيتفكك، يبقى لازم تفضل حماس موجودة عشان تبقى ذريعة مستمرة. كل حاجة يبقى اضرب.
So here he's saying it's a must that Hamas remain so they can use them as a means. This is what he's referring to. But with no shadow of doubt, before Hamas, the IDF was still killing Palestinians, regardless where they were. But we've seen that it intensified at a level that was not as before, and the suffering, and it's become a continuous affair. They use someone attacking them to continuously do what they were doing. And we'll speak regarding the West Bank. How was Hamas also a cause there? Because they do have a place over there as well. They even have an official spokesperson. They even have times where they carry out certain attacks. Even though they're not mainly established there, but they do have certain things they do of attacks that go back to them. which also even gives a reason for the IDF to continue what they're doing of the expansion and the illegal settlements to the West Bank, and they're killing there. They use it also for these wordings that they're taking out these individuals or they're looking for them. Also to show where the frustration is coming from some of the Palestinians regarding Hamas, is that Hamas have uttered words like their former Minister of Affairs, who was one of the leaders of Hamas. He said that the people are duru' bashariya, human shields. And we'll play the clip.
عند الشعب الفلسطيني صناعة تجيده النساء تجيده كل من في هذه الأرض يجيده الشيوخ يجيده المجاهدون ويجيده الأطفال لذلك شكلوا دروعا بشرية من النساء والأطفال والشيوخ.
And here he's saying they have made human shields from women and children. And of the Sha'ab, the people of Palestine.
طيب يا حركة حماس، انتوا اليوم تحكوا ان احنا بنهاجم المقاومة، ولكن انتوا لم تحترموا شعبكم الفلسطيني ولم تدعموا صمود ابناء شعبكم، بل تركتوهم للجوع وللفقر وللتسول وللشحتة
So here's a Palestinian outside, but even though the audio is saying that the person was inside. But generally, he's saying that you have left your people in hunger, you have deserted them.
دل وللإهانة على طوابير التكيات. احنا قبل هيك واجهنا الخطابات هذه من قبل قياداتكم، يعني كان الخسائر ينظر إليها أولا في صفوف المقاومين والقيادات وليس المدنيين. هذا أسامة حمدان قال.
So here, and this is available, Osama Hamdan, another official spokesperson of Maktab al-Siyasi, the political office of Hamas, and he says that we first look at the people in combat, our soldiers. Then we look at the loss of the civilians, the casualties. And this is another statement that caused some controversy and frustration of the people. They feel like they are second, and these people are put forward first for protection.
طيب الشعب ورق الضغط حتى لو مات منهم 20,000 أو أكثر. غازي حمد موت الشعب.
So he's going to read it. We'll translate each one, inshallah.
هو يعتبر خسائر تكتيكية للحرب. خالد مشعل. طيب نحتاج دماءكم لتوقظ فينا روح الثورة. اسماعيل هنية. سكان غزة هم مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة. موسى أبو مرزوق. المدنيين هم المسؤولين عن أخطاء 7 أكتوبر. صالح العاروري. مال حماس لحماس وهو ليس للشعب. خليل الحية. لماذا الاعتراض والمواطن هو المتضرر؟ جمال نصار. سنحارب حتى آخر طفل مثل أصحاب الأخدود لتعيش أفكارنا. يحيى السنوار. فلسطين بالنسبة لنا مثل عود تنظيف الأسنان. محمود الزهار. من يفقد بيته في غزة سيأخذ بيت أفضل منه في الجنة. باسم العين. كل ما ازدادت فاتورة الموت والدماء سنقترب من التحرير. نزار ريان. طيب يا جماعة الخير، إذا إحنا هذه القيادات بتحكي هذا
Like here, a statement, and each one, you can Google each one, there's a video for each one of the reference of the speech. يحيى السنوار سنحارب حتى آخر طفل. And I'll translate each one, just goes directly to translation. Yahya Sinwar says, we're going to continue to fight until the last child, like how the story of Ashab al-Khudud, so our ideologies could remain. And then another statement of Basim Naim, this is all from an interview at Al Jazeera. He said, whoever lost his house in Gaza, he'll get a better house in Jannah. And it's very easy to say these things. And that's their person's choice. But for you to just cause that, it's going to have frustration on these people. And also, he mentions إسماعيل هنية نحتاج دماءكم لتوقظ فينا روح الثورة. We need your blood to revive and awaken our revolution. And the people's blood. Another than Khalid al-Mash'al, the death of the people, is a strategic loss or a tactical loss in war. And Ghazi Hamad, the people are like a paper that is pressured. Even if 20,000 or more die from them. Here's another person in Gaza saying, we just want to have peace. We are a peaceful people, want to live in peace.
تنقل الناس مش مكان في غزة فاضي، الناس بتسأل بعض 24 ساعة، في مكان فاضي، وين رايحين؟ وين بتروح؟ بدنا نوصل للسالم، بدنا نعيش بدنا نعيش.
And the wordings of Hamas, and in their channels they say, أهلنا صامدين, and that they have ثبات والشموخ وقوة وتضحية. They are holding their ground. They have a high spirit. And this is what they're saying about the people. The people are breaking down. They're emotional. They feel like they have nothing left.
أكبر من كل جنرالات إسرائيل. السنوار حطموا حلم الدولة، دمروا حطموا حلم الدولة، ودمروا وحطموا قضية الأسرى، أسرانا البواسل اللي بالسجن، أسرانا اللي بالسجن اللي بيتحججوا إنهم أخذوا رهائن لأنه السنوار وعد زملائه إنه يطلعوهم من السجن. أسرانا بالسجن اليوم كل واحد في 24 ساعة بيأكل 4 ملاعق رز فقط. كل 8 أسرى بسجون الاحتلال إلهم 4 فرشات فقط ومدتها 8 ساعات وبيصفوا على البلاط. الانفرادي.
So this lady speaks about the captives from the Palestinian people are being taken by the IDF. Innocent individuals, women and children are being tortured 24/7. They're saying that this has been proven that, and Yahya Sinwar promised to get them out. And some of the people, they're frustrated, the Palestinians, that their main priority is to get their soldiers out. That's their main priority. And we'll show some of the wordings.
في شعب غزة سيخرج المئات من مقاتلي أبناء فتح المؤبدات وكذلك القسام والسرايا.
And here this is a spokesperson, H4mas في الضفة الغربية, speaking to Al Jazeera, saying hundreds of the soldiers of Hamas and the Saraya and these movements, the fighters are going to come out. That's the priority.
استطاعت حماس أن تحقق صفقة وطنية بامتياز، لذلك على أبناء شعبنا الفلسطيني وعلى فصائل وأخص بالذكر أبناء.
This is the agreement that they were trying to get. They're mainly trying to get their people out. And we'll here show some more wordings of his.
أهلنا وشعبنا ثم الانسحاب الكامل من قطاع غزة بإذن الله بعد 42 يوم، وكذلك صفقة وفاء مشرفة كما قلت أكثر من 292 مؤبد سيخرجون بإذن الله من كافة الفصائل من حماس وفتح وشعبية وديمقراطية، منهم 127 أسير بالمؤبد محكوم مؤبد مدى الحياة، 127 من فتح.
So once again, he mentions mainly the people of the Fasail in combat those people of his are they're trying to get them out more so. And the people of the regular are secondary. And this is the main. This is also some of the frustration. Also another frustration of the people. They feel like Sinwar would also challenge in the midst of them. Like there's a famous video of his on YouTube. Sinwar, he's telling he's going to go for a walk. And he's challenged them to come try to bomb him. And he's walking through the people, in the midst of the people, in their markets. And he's going for a walk. He has a camera. He said, "You want me? I'm here." And he's walking. And the people around you, if they were to suffer of any casualties because you were walking in the midst and you know they were looking for your target, this could be also could be a reason of their further frustration of you exposing them to this type of harm.
من أجساد أطفالنا ونسائنا سدا يمنع حالة الانهيار في الواقع العربي.
And he says, the bodies or our children or women are going to prevent the state of collapse in the Arab reality. Once again, the women and children are being used in these contexts. So this also adds to the frustration.
لتصل إلى ما وصلت إليه بفضل الله ثم بدعم إيران وإسنادها ماليا ولوجستيا وفنيا ونحن نراكب لبناء محور القدس فنتصالح مع سوريا الأسد التي تمثل أحد ساحات الحج والارتكاز وجند للشام.
And here, Sinwar is saying that they're going to do a peace and work with Syria, of the Bashar government at that time. And also with Hezbollah, we're going to share some of the speech of the scholars who were with Hamas or perhaps died supporting them, what they came to realize about Hezbollah.
ولا يزال يلزمنا جهد كبير في تطوير ساحة جند باليمن وساحة جند بالعراق. من الضروري.
And he's even going to this level, like standing to help soldiers in Yemen. A lot of them said that this is referring to the Houthis. And we know the position of the Houthis, and then also soldiers in Iraq. And who is he referring to? Is he referring to ISIS, or is he referring to?
قيتهم وحذروا مما يبطنونه في أنفسهم. أنا وقفت أدافع عنهم، ويبدو أن هؤلاء المشايخ كانوا أكثر نضجا مني وأبصر بالأمور مني، وأنا أخذت الأمور على ظاهرها. أنا أريد أن أجمع المسلمين، أريد أن أقرب.
Here, Yusuf Qaradawi explaining why he praised Hezbollah. And he said he took from as a parent. And he said he came to know their evil later on.
إن المسلمين مسلمين ويحاربوا الصهاينة، كيف أقف مع الصهاينة؟ ولكن يبدو أن المشايخ رحمهم الله إذا كانوا موتى وحفظهم الله إذا كانوا أحياء كانوا يعني أبصر من هؤلاء الذين دافعت عنهم جاءوا يقتلون إخوانهم في سوريا. كنا نظن أنهم.
He said these people that defended of Hezbollah, they came and killed our brothers in Syria. This is what he's saying. And the people, as well, frustrated of Hamas having links to these people and speaking, and whatever they also do in support of Gaza, adds more to the suffering of the Palestinians. Because we know that these people, Hezbollah, they are not really in benefit of the Muslims through their actions. They have more harm.
طلع التغيير والإصلاح يا مفضوع عرض اللي كان السبب. الله يفضى عرضك يا حماس. الله يفضى عرض اللي جابك. تغيير واصلاح بنصور تغيير والاصلاح.
Here a person who's being told to displace himself and move. You can see that from the images he's saying this is the rectification and change that you were telling us, Hamas. And then he makes dua against Hamas.
طلعوا يا حاج طلعوا التغيير والاصلاح طلعوا نرجع وين نرجع لمين نرجع خلي السنوار يرجع يعيشان هو اللي يعيش خلي السنوار يعيش سلام حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل في اللي كان السبب ما كنا قاعدين في دورنا يا الله كنا قاعدين الله.
He said, Allah is sufficient for us for those who are the cause of all this. And he said, we were just sitting in our homes and they destroyed our homes.
خربوا ديارك يا حماس زي ما خربت ديارنا. الله ينتقم منك. الله ينتقم من اللي جابك.
This is a frustration of a person in Gaza. And to say all of them are betraying and all of them are working for the IDF and all of them are this, and to say something, he's carrying his pieces of his property on his back, his remainders, his belongings, and he's just being displaced and he's frustrated. And these people who are supposedly supposed to be protecting them are under the grounds. And this is what's and these people who were praising about the October 7th, of it referring to be victory, this is what gave an opening for IDF to do what they did to the homes of these individuals.
الله عليك يا حماس.
مرحبا، أنا المواطن حمزة هويدي وحابب أوجه رسالة للأستاذ حذيفة الكحلوت أو زي ما بتحب الناس تسميك أبو عبيدة. بعد أكثر من 78 يوم من الحرب على غزة حضرت.
So this is a person after 78 days of the war in Gaza. In Gaza, he mentions the name. He sent a message to Abu Ubaidah.
صرت طالع لنا بأكثر من 30 فيديو بتردد فيهم نفس الغباء ونفس التفاهة وكأنك مستغبينا أو كأنه ملناش قيمة عندك. كل يوم إيش ضربنا 10 دبابات، إيش ضربنا 20 جرافة. طيب وبعدين أنا المفروض أغمض عيني عن كل حجم الدمار اللي جبتوه لنا إياه وأركز مع ال10 دبابات اللي ضربتوهم.
So he says, every time you're coming out and saying that, oh, you hit these tanks and you took out this tank of IDF and you did this to damage to their tanks, you're going to think I'm going to close my eyes also to the damages that has happened to our properties because of that.
مدينة غزة يا أبو عبيدة بعد ما كانت مدينة بعيش فيها أكثر من 2,300,000 مواطن تحولت لمدينة أشباح وحضرتك بدك يانا.
He said this is Gaza is 2 million, over 2 million people became to like nothing. And then you're going to remind us that you hit this tank and you hit that tank.
ركز مع ال10 دبابات اللي ضربتوهم. قطاع تعليمي مش موجود. قطاع صحي منهار بشكل كامل. اقتصادي ملعون أبوه. أكثر من 20,000 ضحية و50,000 مصاب. الوحدات السكانية مدمرة بشكل كامل. وبدك يعني أركز مع ال10 دبابات اللي ضربتوهم. بكفي استغباء وبكفي تفاهة.
He's saying this is stupidity. There's no health left here. There's no education. There's no economical resources. He said it's enough of this stupidity.
إذا حابب تطلع يا أستاذ أبو عبيدة اطلع واعتذر للشعب عن حجم الدمار اللي جبتوه.
He said, Abu Ubaid, if you're ready, leave and excuse yourself and apologize to all this destruction that you have caused to your people.
Yeah. وكل هذا بسبب ايش؟ بسبب مراهقتكم السياسية. مركز مع 10 دبابات ومع 20 جرافة، وناس انه اسرائيل عندها صناعات عسكرية بدها توقفها عشان حضرتك. والله خفنا من الاستاذ ابو عبيدة. الدعم الامريكي والاوروبي خافوا من الاستاذ ابو عبيدة. بكفي كذب. اهلنا صاروا عايشين بخيام بعد ما كان عندهم بيوت مقوياهم.
And he said, do you think all these countries that are supporting IDF, they're scared of Abu Ubaidah? And he said, this is a lie, and you don't think it's enough, this lie.
صاروا يدوروا على كيس طحين وعلى كيس ملح عشان يلاقوا لقمة ياكلوها آخر الليل. ولسه بدك تصدعنا وتقولنا 10 دبابات و20 جرافة.
He said people are looking for just a bag of rice for their family. And you keep just repeating that I hit this tank and I hit that tank of the IDF.
يا أخي ملعون أبوك على أبو الدبابات على أبو الجرافات. حلوا عنا.
هناك جائعون
وحماس من خلال المتاجرة بدمائهم لا يسأل عنهم أحد. بكل بساطة الوفود المتفاوضة ينتهي الوفد الإسرائيلي ويعود إلى تل أبيب الآمنة المستقرة التي لا يحيط بها جيش القسام في معركة التحرير كما يحاول أن يصور البعض. والوفد الحمساوي يعود إلى تركيا ويعود إلى قطر ويعود إلى لبنان، لا يدرك معنى آلام النزوح ولا معنى التشريد ولا معنى المجاعة، فلما يتفق كل ينتظر حتى يصل إلى.
He's talking about the representatives of Hamas when they're going to these different places and they're having their discussions. He said these people don't know the pains of the people and what's happening. And they're not really actually speaking about that. And they're talking about side affairs of any hostages, exchange of hostages, these type of things. But he's saying there's greater suffering for these people that have been displaced.
إنه إحنا اليوم قاعدين بندفع ثمن حقيقي لسياسة حركة حماس على مدار 17 سنة خسرتنا فيها العالم ككل. اليوم إحنا بنتساءل كيف ممكن نقنع المواطن المصري اللي إحنا عارضنا ثورته ورفعنا شعار رابعة وتدخلنا في شؤونه الداخلية وتدخلنا في.
So now the Palestinians are explaining that after all these years of what Hamas and how they were towards some of the Arab countries, the Arab nations, how we were with the Egyptians, what we did to them, and he's referring to Hamas. How do you think we're going to convince them and get them on our side? And we'll explain, inshallah, like in history of certain things of what related to Hamas towards Egypt. That's why they closed their border completely on them after what took place of multiple attempts. They sent like a weft to stop the shootings between them and the opposition party, and Hamas broke the treaty.
لكن حماس منذ توقيع اتفاق مكة اخترقت الهدنة لا يقل عن 100 مرة. وآخر خرق للهدنة كان في اغتيال قائد كتاب شهداء الأقصى بهاء أبو جراد في منطقة الشمال.
Here you can hear that people are complaining, and I'll give another example.
مرير. يعني الفصائل الفلسطينية التي تقول أنها ستحرر فلسطين متفرقة مختلفة متناحرة. كيف تحرر فلسطين وهي مختلفة فيما بينها؟
And he's saying that how are they going to liberate Palestine, and the people are divided amongst themselves. This is Sheikh Salim Hilali.
متقاتلة فيما بينها. هذا الجهاد الإسلامي وهذه حماس وهذه الجبهة الشعبية وهذه فتح وهذه المنظمة الفلانية، أكثر من 20 منظمة ليس لهم رأس وليس لهم رأي.
And they have like more than 20 basically organization groups. And we've seen like in history, like even there was a masjid called Masjid Taymiyyah, it led to shootings in Palestine and Gaza, even with what happens in West Bank. And there was Mahmoud Abbas even accused Hamas of trying to assassinate him, and a few matters that occurred. So this is the internal differing of these. This is the internal differing that the Sheikh is referring to.
وأنتم تعرفون بارك الله فيكم في 2006 انظروا حرص حكام المسلمين في 2006 ميلادي جمع الملك عبد الله ابن عبد العزيز رحمه الله ملك العربية السعودية قادة حماس وقادة فتح السلطة وين جمع؟
The year 2006, the King Abdullah Saudi, up to the zeal of trying to unite the people, he brought them together, trying to reconcile between the leaders of Hamas and the opposition party.
عند الكعبة وأخذ منهم ميثاق غليظ أمام الكعبة أنهم يتحدوا وأنهم يصبحوا يد واحدة، لأنهم إذا الشعب الفلسطيني ما اتحد فمن باب أولى العرب ما يتحدوا، من باب الأولى المسلمون لا يتحدوا ولا يلتفتوا لقضيتهم. إذا أصحاب القضية ضيعوا القضية فغيرهم أولى أن يضيعها يا إخواني. وأخذ منهم ميثاق غليظ عند الكعبة وكلهم موافقوا اتفاق.
And so he took, the king of Saudi made them make a dramatic oath of sulh, of reconciliation, to rectify their affairs amongst each other in front of the Kaaba. An oath.
مكة يعني ممكن أي واحد يرجع على النت تكتب اتفاق مكة.
And this agreement is available online, you can find it.
وأعطاهم فلوس كثيرة.
And the king of Saudi gave them a lot of money.
بس رجعوا حماس إلى غزة عملوا انقلاب وفصلوا غزة على الضفة الغربية.
And afterwards, Hamas went back to Gaza and did a revolution and separated Gaza from the West Bank. And the shootings, and we see the images and the videos of even what they did to the opposition party and anyone that opposed them.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، مساكم الله بالخير. لماذا قتل يحيى السنوار قادة القسام قائد كتيبة الزيتون ومسؤول التدريب في لواء جنوب غزة
So here this person who specializes in documentaries and facts online of the channel Abyad Aswad, who brings videos and examples and proofs what he's saying. He's asking, why did Yahya Sinwar kill some of the leaders of Qassam, Hamas, and some of the people that even built some of the tunnels? But he's going to lay it out, inshallah, here.
أحد المهندسين المعروفين لأنفاق غزة القتالية ومدرب قوات النخبة من القسام. لماذا قتله يحيى السنوار بتهمة غريبة حتى باتت هذا القتيل تدعو على يحيى السنوار؟ ولماذا قتل السنوار أيضا أيمن طه المتحدث باسم حركة حماس في غزة؟
So why did Yahya Sinwar kill Ayman Taha, who was a spokesperson for Harakat Hamas? And why were people of Hamas being killed by Yahya Sinwar? And he said even the mother of the people were making dua against Yahya Sinwar.
أكبر أبناء أحد القادة المؤسسين لحركة حماس ورفيق الشيخ أحمد ياسين السابق محمد طه. ولماذا فر أغلب قيادات حماس من قطاع غزة خوفا من يحيى السنوار؟ ولماذا نكب يحيى السنوار أهل غزة وتسبب في تشريدهم بعد انتهاء فترة ولايته الثانية، حيث أعيد انتخابه للمرة الثانية رئيسا لحماس في غزة عام 2021 ولا يحق له الترشح لفترة ثالثة حسب قوانين حماس. فخرب.
There was even on the news, there was an issue of him taking power again. But he was still able to get power again. Hassan won. Despite the paper of that your person cannot rule again after those terms.
قبل لا يمشي. وهل يملك يحيى السنوار خبرة عسكرية أو سياسية تؤهله لقيادة حركة بهذا الحجم؟ وهو الذي دخل السجون الإسرائيلية وهو شاب صغير وخرج منها على كبر. وما سبب مدائح يحيى السنوار لإيران والشيعة بشكل مبالغ فيه؟
I mentioned like what's the reason that he was locked up by Israel, the IDF, 3 times. The last time until he came out when he was old. And then shortly after, he became a leader, like 1 year later, became a leader of Hamas, or a big figure in the affair. And then in 2017, became the Rais of Hamas that he was elected for. And he's saying, how did this happen in these stages?
بعد انتخابه رئيسا لحماس عام 2017 حتى انتقدته في ذلك قناة الجزيرة والإعلاميين في جماعة الإخوان المسلمين. وماذا قال عن يحيى السنوار من سجن مع؟
Because some of the criticism of Yahya Sinwar was some of the praises for Iran. Even some of the members of Ikhwan Muslimin were shocked, like even some of the wording saying that we're Ibn al-Ruhi, we're the spiritual son of Iran. That's what they're saying.
في زنزانة واحدة لمدة 3 سنوات. ماذا قال عن رأي يحيى السنوار في إيران والشيعة؟ وهل يكفي أن تكون شجاعا إلى حد التهور أن تقود ضعفاء المسلمين خلفك إلى المهالك؟ وما وجه الشبه فيما قام به يحيى السنوار في 7 أكتوبر فيما قام به أسامة بن لادن في 11 سبتمبر؟
And then he mentions what he did, and even what relating to October 7th, it has relations to like how it looks like September 11th of Osama bin Laden, like how the harm that it caused onto the people and onto the Muslims.
طبعا سبقه بذلك كله نائب رئيس الحشد الشعبي أبو مهدي المهندس حين قال في إحدى المقاطع: أتمنى أن أرى دمار الرياض والسعودية وليس إسرائيل. السعودية فقط من نريد دماره. تفضل.
گفتم عمو مهدی خیلی خوبه شهید بشه ولی چند سال بعد شهید بشه.
چند سال بعد؟ چند سال؟
دیگه اون موقعی که
به من بگو چند سال؟
اصلا 5 سال.
5 سال؟
اسرائیل نبود.
نه اسرائیل نیست، ریاض. سعودي.
آمریکا.
سعودية.
يعني محور المقاومة المزعوم هدفه ليس دمار إسرائيل بل دمار دول المنطقة.
So here, by this clip, this person is explaining why some of the Arab countries, they don't want to work with these people because these people also want to destroy them. They want to, they mention this, like, they even have like certain YouTube channels that was going from Gaza for so long, just attacking Saudi Arabia and so forth. So when you hear this Palestinian person from Gaza saying that, how are we going to earn these Arab countries to come back and support us and help us after he said even people would come from Bahrain just to visit Masjid Aqsa, and we would humiliate them and say, you are the people of normalization, and we would speak bad about them. And now we want them to help us. He said, we need to realize that this is the Palestinian out of frustration saying that we're paying the price of what we've done. With no shadow of doubt, the most countries are still trying to help, but at the same time, a lot of them, they closed their borders to helping after they've seen from what Hamas, especially when it's working with Iran, and then also especially when they were receiving funding and it was going through Israel or IDF.
Many of Israel criticized the major role you, Qatar, were given in the mediation, mainly because Qatar has Al Jazeera. You host Hamas leaders and you financed Hamas in transferring billions of dollars over the last decade.
When it comes to Hamas office...
So this is a news interview with the foreign minister of Qatar, and he's being asked about the statement, and this is his response.
In Doha, that's been opened and fully coordinated with the US, and we have the way we feel about it. We are very confident that we've been doing everything in a very transparent manner, which, by the way, was totally coordinated with the Israeli government.
The Israelis actually asked you to do it?
Yes, indeed. And that basically was part of the arrangements of.
Yeah, so this is the things that made some of these countries, Egypt, a lot of the countries, they took a step back, and they were worried, and especially seeing Iran involved, and then funding going through Israel, and because the Qatar, we know it was even harboring people like the Houthis who cause a lot of corruption in different lands of the Muslims. So a lot of the countries were worried. Hamas is not a state like a run of its own, and they are under siege by air, land, and sea. Nothing can go to them except through the IDF. The other places are blocked off. They're basically controlled by the IDF. And even through the elections, it went through Israel, IDF allowing it, and then being elected. And to come out and say that why these people are speaking out, and they feel like these people don't even have, they're run by, these people have the real control, the IDF, like for them to be able to have power to cut off electricity, food, and everything like this, shows you they're the ones that استقر لهم الأمر. يعني استتب what, and it hasn't really استتب الأمر for these people. These people are more like rebels. They're just trying to resist, but they're under control by the IDF in reality. And greater harm is happening when they try to resist because they don't have the capability.
You might have heard statements like, Israel created Hamas. This is absolutely untrue. Yes, Israel made the strategic mistake of ignoring Yassin, but to say that Israel created Hamas is to misunderstand the group's history. Back in 1967, Israel won the Six-Day War, which meant that they were now responsible for the more than 1 million Palestinians who lived there. The umbrella organization that claimed to represent the Palestinians had a very clear goal. It called itself the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization. At the same time, Israel's security service was keeping tabs on a Muslim cleric named Ahmed Yassin, which Israel was hoping would act as a counterweight to the influence of the secularist Marxist-aligned PLO. He spent his time building schools, mosques, and clinics. So as Israel cracked down hard on the PLO, they left Yassin alone to grow his network. He seized his chance in the late 1980s. It was time to unveil their new group, the Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas.
Speaking about they were the ones in control from that time. In reality, this is where these are people taking control to the point they even allowed this process of so-and-so and the elections. They even, so all of this was going through under their view and so forth, and they were allowing one group and they didn't want the other group. And so they were in favor of one side over the other.
The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Paul.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Gentlelady for yielding, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my
We'll
remarks.
forward it as a Senator from America.
Our American weapons and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political lie. If you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world.
We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know.
So this is to show. So, you know, when some people come and they say, these people are the government, you are Sunnah inconsistent, why are you talking about, or why are these Palestinians speaking about them, and why are you sharing their responses? Say, no, these people feel like the actual people that's in control, the IDF. And that's why the UN has to seek permission from the IDF to do certain things.
سيادة اللواء، لماذا تكذبون إسرائيل في كل شيء، ولكن عندما تتحدث عن حماس تبدأون تصدقونها؟
شفت تتحدث عن حماس، هي صنعت حماس. حماس فخر الصناعة الإسرائيلية، هي صنعت حماس. ومين اللي صنع حماس؟ ومين حمل الملايين في الحقائب مصاري لحماس؟ ولما حماس كانت تستعرض الصواريخ في غزة والطيران فوقها ما يحكيش معها. ما لنا يعني في أمور كثيرة ما.
Or here's a person from previous members of the government, of the Palestinian government, saying that Hamas, and they were building rockets and the airplane of the IDF is going over them, watching them, and it doesn't do anything. And they were like basically overseeing this, and they weren't doing anything.
والذي أطلق النار عليه معروف من هو في حركة حماس، ما بدنا نذكر اسمه، أنا بعرف اسمه. وبالتالي اليوم المواطنين يشعرون بماذا؟ حماس تستولي على المساعدات التي تدخل للنازحين في رفح وفي خان يونس وفي أراضي قطاع غزة. حماس تتجرد.
We're going to forward this. This is like someone else expressing some of the harm that people feel that Hamas was a cause for of their frustration in terms of even like things that come. Like from the leaders of Hamas, they said al-mal li Hamas. And the funding is for Hamas.
في الناس تعطي للناس وفقا لمزاجها ووفقا لمعاييرها، وبالتالي الناس انفجرت عندما تسمع هذا المواطن اللي قال قبل قليل اللي بتقتلنا. أعتقد أنه
زين تحدثت عن الضحية
وشرطتها العنصرية بقتل الأطفال الجياع والناس الجياع. ابن عمي محمد طفل ابن عائلة مكلومة فقيرة جدا، قام قبل عدة أيام بالبحث عن لقمة عيش، كيس طحين وغشة، ومن ثم اتهم بالسرقة، اتهموه بالسرقة انه هو جاي يسرق، فأخذوه وعذبوه تعذيب يعني لدرجة انه عفوا على الكلمة الحيوانات لا تتحمله، حتى ألقوه شهيدا مغزورا بإذن الله. احنا طبعا ما راح نسكت عن حقنا، مستحيل ان نسكت عن حقنا، والظلم الواقع علينا اكثر من عملية قتل انه رفضوا انهم يوجهوه للطب الشرعي. الطبيب رفض انه يوجهوا الطب الشرعي، قال ان الطب الشرعي غير موجود وابن كومات سكتة قلبية.
كم عمره؟ كم عمره؟
This is a person mentioning, he says he doesn't want to mention the names, but someone that was tortured by Hamas, and he went to go seek some of the food or the nourishment that was sent. He was accused of stealing. They punished him and tortured him in a way that it's unbelievable. He's mentioning others.
عمر الضحية محمد قلت أنه طفل، كم يبلغ من العمر؟
18 سنة. 18 سنة، ومحمد غير سوي، محمد إنسان غير سوي. محمد غير مش في كامل القوى العقلية اللي تضربه وتعذبه بالصورة هذه. يعني بكفي سحبت الناس على الذل، سحبتهم على الحرب، سحبتهم على الدمار، قتلت الناس بطريقة غير شرعية، كل ما قمتم به بدون تفكير إلا أنكم كمان تقتلوا الناس الجياع.
طيب محمد، أتفهم الغضب جراء
So the person even interviewing had to stop him because he was overwhelmed with frustration.
But you know that there are a lot of refugees, a lot of innocent civilians, men, women, and children in that refugee camp as well, right?
This is the tragedy of war, Wolf. I mean, as you know, we've been saying for days, move south. Civilians are not involved with Hamas. Please move south.
I'm just trying to get a little bit more information.
So this is an interview on CNN with one of the top officials of IDF, and admitting that they knew there's a refugee camp with innocent people. They bombed the whole camp, killed everybody just on the claim that there was one Hamas commander there. And we know a lot of the times they're inaccurate in their wordings and their claims, but this is the excuse that they're using to kill these people under the claim of Hamas.
You knew there were civilians there, you knew there were refugees, all sorts of refugees, but you decided to still drop a bomb on that refugee camp attempting to kill the Hamas commander. By the way, was he killed?
I can't confirm yet. There'll be more updated. Yes, we know that he was killed. About the civilians there, we're doing everything we can.
يعرض إلى القتل والاغتيالات والتدمير مخازنه إلى آخره، ويقول الدولة هذه مهمة الدولة أن توقف هذا العدوان وانسحاب الإسرائيلي. لو خرجت حماس وقالت هذا الموقف بأنه مطلوب من السلطة الفلسطينية تتحمل مسؤوليات قطاع غزة قانونيا وإداريا وأيضا كل شيء أمنيا، أو سلمت هذا الموقف للجامعة العربية، أنا بعتقد الأمور تختلف. لماذا تختلف؟ لأنه حركة حماس بوثيقتها 2017 اعترفت بحدود 67. نعم.
So here, an Egyptian government representative says on Ashraq News that if Hamas were to step down or surrender, or give up their arms, or end their position of authority, the affairs will be different, he's saying. The affairs will be different. And there's different people that they could hand it over to in Palestine, he's saying. And the matter will change, he says. The matter will change.
لا يقتل يهودي إلا ويقتل مقابله عديد من المسلمين. ما رأيتم هذا؟ القتلى من المسلمين أكثر ولا من اليهود؟ ومن المسلمين لكن لابد.
So here Sheikh Albani brings up a point against these people that were saying that they were committing some killings to the IDF soldiers, and they were using that as a proof that they were doing something in retaliation in the combat. So the Albani brings and says that, don't you see that when you do that, more Muslims are going to suffer and be killed because of that?
يعني الشغلات هاي حتى يعني وقع في قلوبهم الرعب. لابد هكذا. إلى متى يعني؟ لابد مش هكذا. أورد سعد وسعد مشتمل. ما هكذا يا سعد تورد الإبل. تصور هلا أنت إذا بقي الحال هكذا شو بتكون النتيجة؟ المسلمين عم يتفرجوا والفلسطينيين عم ينذبحوا، شو بتكون النتيجة؟
And that's happening now. When he says this happens, the Muslims are just going to be looking and the Palestinians are just going to be killed. This is not the victory that he's saying. This should be he's saying that this is going to lead to greater harm for the Palestinians.
اليهودي ويقتل مقابله 10 ويسجن الألوف، شو بتكون النتيجة؟ يكون انتصار على اليهود؟ مو هذا هو الطريق. الحقيقة أن المسلمين الآن أخطأوا طريق الجهاد.
So there's a lot of frustration, and so it's not befitting for someone to come and speak about the Palestinian people, of those who are suffering, to come out and display their frustration, or to say these people now that are protesting in the streets, oh, they're doing something wrong, they're working for this guy. Look how later one of them got tortured. See the images. They're speaking out. They accuse them of working with IDF. Supposedly, but the other people, all of them are working for IDF. I mean, this is what, like some of them, المسؤول آخر في حماس said, ربما قتل بعضهم لأنهم كانوا يتصرفون ضد السكان وضد المقاومة. And some people were killed because they were working against the people of the residents and working against the resistance group. It's upon us to continue making dua for our brothers in Palestine. They are suffering, the innocent, and they don't deserve this. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve them, especially the women and children that are suffering. We have to continue to make dua for them. So Allah ease their affair. Those who are able to send funds to these people have lost their properties, the women and children, the suffering, humanitarian aid, support these people. Grant them relief of some of the war crimes that was committed against them by the IDF. So this is it, and we should also allow anyone who has frustration from them to speak. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْجَهْرَ بِالسُّوءِ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ إِلَّا مَنْ ظُلِمَ. Cannot come and say this is not the time for it. They've lost everything, their family. Let them talk. They have a Lord they can complain to. Someone records them speaking about Hamas, let them be. You're not to come out, you're living miles away, you're in AC and coming out labeling them as this and that because they spoke about Hamas and Hamas is with this type of H4mas group or that to this, and we need to, or these people they're supporting the group of the Salafis that speak about Hamas, or this is, people who are Palestinian, they have the right to speak. They've been bombed. Ittaqullah fi anfusikum. They've been bombed and they feel like some of the behavior and some of the decisions that were made by these people is a cause of some of the problems, because the IDF is using them as something to continue and to do certain things more. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy and to grant immediate relief and to show us from His ajaib qudrati, from His powerful capability, of what will grant us joy in seeing the defeat upon those who have committed these crimes upon these innocent people, women and children of the Palestinians, and grant them a state where they are protected. And lastly, we want to mention that the people, as many of the Palestinians and as many of the people, as Muslims, Hamas doesn't represent them. They only represent themselves in reality. They have their own political agenda. The crimes, if they do commit crimes, they are responsible for it. And we free ourselves from any of that, because they're speaking for themselves, where we don't associate ourselves with them. They are their own political. We're defending the Palestinian cause, the innocent people, the women and children. These are the people that we are concerned more for. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy. And yes, we ask Allah to guide those who went astray from the Muslims, so there can be an end to the suffering of the Palestinians. We ask Allah to rectify them and guide them, so there can be an end to the suffering and continuation of harm that further escalates harm for our Muslim brothers in Palestine.